Hi, ladies. It's Sandra Lee from Women on Transition, and I'm here today to share on how you can become emotionally free and empowered. And they're not just words that we can overuse the word empowered, I think, in many of our sentences or marketing material. And I think it's really important to break this down to really see what empower or empowered means and being empowering to others as well. So, years ago, I was at one of these little conferences that you go to and you have a motivational speaker up there, and the motivational speaker said, "Stay tuned, I've got a special guest coming up here." And the special guest was amazing. She walked out on the stage, she was hunched over, she was slow walking, and I thought, oh, who is this person? I hadn't heard their name and I hadn't heard who it was. And this lady introduced herself, and it was Dr. Edith Eger. And as she started speaking, she was quite quiet and frail, and we all sort of leant forward to start with. She started telling a story, and she was in her 90s, telling a story about how, as a young girl at 16, her sister, and her parents were put into a concentration camp during World War II. And as the story unfolded, she shared terrible atrocities that had happened to her, and including medical tests done by the infamous doctors that were there, the Nazi doctors. She had to dance for her Nazi soldiers, and she had to endure hardships and torture over the years. And to start it all off, her parents were killed on arrival, and her sister she didn't see until years after she was reunited with her back in the US. And so here she is at an age that she's gone through a life after this hardship and trauma that's happened to her, more than any of us would ever imagine happening to any one person. And how does she come out of this coming from a place? And here she is sitting on stage sharing her story and being grateful and being warm and being kind and talking about love and talking about beautiful things and talking about how she's forgiven. So it was just the breakdown of all of that, and we can, like I said at the start, use these words, but it's not really until we truly get them and really can break them down and put them into practical tools and practical steps that can help us really work out how we can truly choose a mindset. And if this lady, beautiful Dr. Edith Eger, can do it, then all of us can do it. And to let go of that victimhood and know that after years after she left, she was in so much physical and mental pain and so lonely and sad and really felt that she had been a victim. And it wasn't until she turned that pain into purpose and she didn't let that struggle of doing that define her, and she chose to not be the victim, and she chose to take a place in our world to inspire us to move forward. So it doesn't seem to matter what inspires you. Something that could inspire you could be different to something that inspires and triggers me into being motivated. But I'm going to share a few things here today that have certainly helped me. Each of us have had our own story, and each of us have had our own pathway of potentially things that have happened. And there's no comparison, because something that could have been a massive out of 10 trigger to me, it could have been a road accident that I ended up having a traumatic injury, and I know for myself I had close to having a miscarriage when I was pregnant with my son, and it took me ages to get back in the car and be comfortable driving again. So these are the things that can trigger us. So even now, I come up against that one spot on the road that I occasionally go past. It makes me feel, I remember. So what is it that can help us move through all of that so that we are not fearing that trigger and knowing that when it comes, what it is, and we've unpacked it as well. And we can get back in the car. We can hop back on that horse. So ladies, I'm going to share, you're one call away from feeling and being emotionally free and empowered, and truly, truly understanding how to get there with some practical tools and tips that I trust that you can take away today as well. So the power of emotional well-being, what is it when you break it down? And when you cultivate emotional well-being, you create a life where you are in control of your emotions and not the other way around. So when we come up to that trigger point, that spot in the road, or maybe that school assembly where our ex is showing up with his new partner, or maybe at the our adult child's wedding that we have to show up at, or maybe we've got to go into a situation that we've had trauma with a past partner as well, and we've got to come back into an environment that they're in as well. So these are all the things that are triggers for us, and it's about us choosing whether we allow the situation or the environment to control us, or we take control ourselves of our emotions. And I know it's easier said than done. So the key to happiness, it's that emotional well-being, and it unlocks a sense of fulfillment and happiness. It empowers you to navigate life's challenges and resilience with grace. So for me, that emotional well-being is about gratitude. It's about looking back on all the things that have happened in my life, good and bad, trauma and triumph, and be grateful for it. It's easy for us to slip into gratitude when we've had a happy experience, and it's really hard to slip into it when you've had a traumatic experience. And it is through practice, and it is through trying that we actually can get onto that next level and that next playing field for us of growth. So unveiling the roots of emotional turmoil, past experiences, past hurts, trauma, and unresolved issues can leave lasting emotional scars. It's crucial to acknowledge and process these experiences. And, no one's ever going to say something didn't happen, because the past is the past. It's happened. It's how we now look at it. Is it something that defines us in a way that it defines us as a negative, or it can define us as a positive and move us towards purpose? Dr. Edgar could have stood on the stage and she could have torn apart, the concentration camp and the whole war, and really laid it out there as to how terrible the whole thing was, as opposed to looking at it how she's moved from there to a place of moving forward and being able to be not just a victor, but being able to go forward with purpose and make a difference in my life, make a difference in your life and other people's, that ripple effect. And I know my ripple effect, that energy, when someone walks into that room and they're all doom and gloom and they're sad sacks, and we feel that energy off them straight away. So do you want that ripple effect of their energy to be like your energy, that when you're walking into a room, that energy ripple effect is a positive versus a negative? And so we choose how we show up. We choose how we walk into the room, whether it's a figurative room or not. Toxic relationships that drain your energy and leave you feeling depleted, can take a toll on your emotional well-being. I know I'm not alone when I say we've got those friends or acquaintances that when we meet up with or hang out with, we walk away thinking, oh my goodness, that was, I feel exhausted, like emotionally exhausted. And, and you've got other friends that you hang around with and you walk away and you feel, oh, top of the world, like you're on cloud 9 and you feel a real buzz and you got recharged. So give some real consideration to who it is that's sapping your energy and sucking the life out of your happiness in a way. We're responsible for how people can take our energy. We can choose to give it or not, but it's certainly an energy around us that can really impact and it makes it harder to get back up. It makes it harder to be happy. It makes it harder to be, the person we want to be and want to show up as, being motivated and being on task and being excited about the day ahead. That's who we want to be. No one wants to be miserable. No one wants to be depressed. No one wants to be sad. So it's just up to us at that point to be who we're going to stand up as. And one of the big things we do is do our I ams. We put ourselves into state. We do our I am and come up with these 3 words that describe how we want to be feeling at that moment or want to be feeling in life. And it helps shift us from to, if you put the slump in and you drop your shoulders and you breathe out and you slump down in your chair or in your posture and you feel sad, you feel flat. But if you stand up straight and you put your shoulders back and you take a deep breath and you put your hands on your hips and you do your Wonder Woman pose and you do your I ams, and mine change all the time. At the moment, mine are present, grateful, and fun. There are different times there might be that I am full of energy and laughter and I'm beautiful. I am enough. We've had all of these go through in my little I ams, because they change at different times into what I know I need at that time. So this helps me keep my state and not be bled with the negative energy or the vibes around me. And I do put up my little invisible walls to keep some of the negative vibes flowing past as well. So negative self-talk, it's like that negative self-doubt. It can create a vicious cycle, and it keeps impacting our esteem, creating a low self-esteem and our emotional well-being. So I know I'm not alone, but I know those little voices on your shoulders, and one's positive, one's negative. Maybe they're both negative sometimes, and maybe they're both positive, but usually one's negative. And it's up to us to go, look at it, listen to it, and F it off, and just say, this is not okay. I do not want to be, that's not who I want to be. That's not how I want to show up. I want to be in charge of my emotions, be in charge of my day, and be in charge of the outcomes and how I'm feeling. And it is something that takes practice. It's not something that just happens. That power of reaching out and seeking professional support. Who is it that you're turning to when you really need some help? If you are feeling really low and you do need some professional guidance, get it. It's not weak to ask for it. It's strong to ask for it. It's brave to ask for it. Be that brave person and shift from where you are. Say, I want to be somewhere else. I don't want to be here in this place of feeling like this every day. And it might be reaching out. It could be to a professional. It could be to a coach that's still a professional, but it certainly provides a safe space to explore your emotions and develop coping. These gives us a chance in a safe space and place of knowing that what you're going to say is going to land on good ears. And what I mean by that is a comparison would be, and I call them the barbecue brigade, the people that sit out there on their barbecues and on a Saturday afternoon, and got some friends coming over, and they talk of doom and gloom, like the stock market's stuffed and economy's down and cost of living's up, and did you see the price of lamb chops, and everything's negative. And it's really important that the person that you're asking for advice is somebody that is going to give you structured strategy and resounding advice that's going to help you move forward and progress forward and enable you to do that, versus somebody that's going to further disempower you and further make you feel flat and sad about the economy and the market. So these are the things. Who is it that you're talking to for advice that you can trust is going to give you the right advice? And I know when I went through my breakup, I had people calling me saying, hey, this is not okay. We're going to ring him and we're going to tell him and we're going to call him. And I'm like, do not do that. Just don't get involved in my story and my situation. And I was fearful that it would just make things worse, and it most certainly would have. So know that even when you're talking with your girlfriends, that they are, and we are each other's biggest ally. But sometimes we don't always give each other the best advice, and listen to the advice you've had in the past and see whether it's something that it's biased, or it's something that, the girls told you something that you wanted to hear or needed to hear at the time. And was it something that was completely independent? So coming to someone that's professional, someone that's a coach, they can be your unreasonable friend. They can tell you, hey, you're not being okay. Hey, you're not saying something that's fair and reasonable. Hey, what you're trying to organize for your settlement and trying to negotiate is not reasonable. It's not fair. So they're going to come from a place that might not be what you want to hear, but it certainly is something that's going to be for your benefit and for your good, and it's someone that's not biased. So it's so important to look at who you're getting the advice from and where you're getting it from, and then what you do with it's up to you. I tend to go and ask a few people different opinions on different things, but then at the end, I always make my own choices. And some of them have been right, some have been wrong, and you're either learning or you're earning as you're growing along. So empowering strategies, identify the sources of your emotional challenges and equip yourself with tools to overcome them. Little strategies that when you are triggered, when you come across where you had that car accident and you feel that sense of fear or lurching in your heart, that you start going into some deep breathing and you're counting your breaths, and you know it's coming up, or you've got to go into a situation that you're going to see them at the wedding, and your son's wedding. And my son got married last year, and I had to see my ex there, and it was a small environment, small space, and it was a registry office, and it was lunch afterwards, and there was only like 8 of us there. So I was like, couldn't avoid him in a crowd of a couple of hundred, unfortunately. But I knew at that time that the way I needed to be there was for my son, and how I needed to show up was for my son and my daughter and my future daughter-in-law. And also for me, I wanted to show up with a sense of self-respect and pride in how I had grown and who I was today. So I went in prepared. I did my breathing. I did my I ams as I walked into the room, and I felt empowered and great. And these are the little things that empower you versus disempower you. So what is it that's feeding your empowerment, feeding your soul, and feeding your purpose going forward? Because purpose is what gives you that motivation to get up every morning and do what you do every day. So mastering your emotions, techniques for emotional regulation. Who's heard of regulating your emotions? And sometimes it's even been thrown and bandied around in a negative way. And, why should we have to regulate our emotions? We feel something, let's say it. At the end of the day, you regulate your emotions and you regulate what you want to say, because we respect that what we say is going to impact the people around us. And the people around us we care for. And the people around us could be our family, our children, our parents, our new partner, our friends. It could be our work colleagues. So it's really important that as we learn to regulate our emotions, that we understand the impact of what that has on everyone around us. And I remember years ago, I remember asking somebody a couple of questions, and they kept answering me. I asked them the question. I didn't understand a technical term of what they were doing. It was to do with some technology, a computer. It was to do with some copy or code that they were doing. And I said to them, how does this work behind the scenes, or how did it break down into the algorithm? And they just said the answer louder. And I repeated my question. They answered me even louder. And I said, hang on, I can hear you. I just don't understand you. So they said, oh, okay, well, if you don't understand me, that's your problem. And I'm like, okay. So here I am working with somebody, them telling me that because I didn't understand it, that was my problem. So as a leader going into my own teams and my own companies, I understood that for me to have the best out of the people around me, I needed them to understand what I was saying. So instead of saying something louder, say something different. So I choose to say things in a way that people understand. I choose to break down my conversation or my words in a way that isn't dumbing it down. It's explaining it out, and it's sharing, and it's certainly coming from a place of if somebody's upset or offended by something that I've said, then I'm careful about how I've said it or what I've said, and I go and apologize. And I'm really conscious of I can't control anyone's emotions or feelings. I can only control mine, but I can certainly regulate how I speak to people, and I can certainly regulate and control the words I use, the tone I use, and how I am getting my message across. And at the end of the day, it's still misinterpreted, it's still misunderstood. Well, there's probably 2 parts to that. One is, have I done the best, and have I explained it again in a way that is probably fair and reasonable and a good way to do it? And is there other issues at play, which usually would be more the case? So what is it that you're communicating that other people are hearing differently to what you're meaning? And so this is really about you looking at yourself, how you show up in that room with that energy. Is it positive, that ripple effect? Is it something that's calming? Is it something that's making people a bit fearful? What is it that you're doing that's showing up into an environment and a space that's impacting other people? So this mindfulness, being present in the moment, allows you to observe your emotions without judgment, preventing them from overwhelming you. So being present in the moment allows you to observe your emotions. So I'm there consciously thinking, here I am in the room, here I am showing up, I'm calm, I'm observing that I'm calm, I'm consciously breathing, I'm looking forward to, meeting people, I'm being present. How I do that, because I am an introvert and I am quite shy. So I tend to think ahead. I think, okay, I'm going to walk into that room tonight or tomorrow and I'm going to be talking to people and I'm going to be, who do I want to be, as opposed to what do I want to do in the room. So instead of being the human doing in the room, I'm a human being in the room. So I'm really conscious of how I'm showing up and who I'm being in the room. And that's self-compassion, treating yourself with kindness and understanding, especially during difficult times. This fosters emotional resilience and promotes healing. Be kind, girls. Be kind to you. You're kinder in most cases to other people than you are to yourself. And we're patient to more to our friends and to our family than what we are to ourselves. We get frustrated with ourselves and impatient with ourselves. And this is your chance and time to swiftly shift that into something that's compassionate and kind, and feed yourself and feed your soul with that first. And then it will come out to everyone around you. If you're feeling it, it'll show. And healthy boundaries, it helps you protect your emotional well-being. Saying no. How hard is saying no? Most people find it's the most difficult thing in the world. So this is so important, that you're saying no to people and situations that drain you. And ladies, it's what we say no to that's more important than what we say yes to. Saying no gives us freedom of time. It frees us up from doing all the things we didn't want to do and we've done anyway because we felt obliged or we felt obligated to the person or we felt like we should, as opposed to pausing and saying, I will get back to you to see if I can make that work. And then coming back with an honest answer. You either can, yes, and you're happy to do it and you'll show up being committed, or you can't do it. You've got something else on or too much other stuff on. And what we tend to do is we tend to take our time at that point out of our self-time. We might have had an hour or so that we might have had on our own to even just sit and read a book or do some gardening or go for a walk, but we've now pulled that time out, given it somewhere else, and we don't even have that 1 hour that we thought we did have, and now we've got no time. So what is it that you're saying no to so that you can say yes to the right things? Reclaiming your inner strength, building a foundation for emotional resilience. That self-awareness, understanding your emotions, triggers, and patterns is the first step towards reclaiming your power. Understanding you. When you feel upset, anxious, sad, happy, think about it. Think, what's just made me feel like that? Oh, a good night's sleep. Getting up in the morning and going for a walk. I feel so much different than a couple of days before when I worked all night, got home late, didn't eat properly, didn't walk in the morning, went straight back into sorting out a problem at work. So the big difference to how you're feeling. So what is that? Self-awareness is a first step. You might not have an immediate solution for it, but it's understanding that that's the problem. And then the next one is self-acceptance, embracing your strengths and weaknesses, imperfections, and is essential for building self-love and resilience. So understanding we've all got we call them our shit bits. We've all got those bits that aren't the great bits. And it might be that you don't love something about your body. It might be you don't love something about where you're living or your anything. It could be. But this is that self-acceptance. We are what we are. We are who we are. We can choose to change some of it. We can be more positive, more empowering, more enabling, more something. But certainly at the end of it, it's accepting that we are who we are and we're kind, we're caring, we're passionate, we're beautiful, we are enough. So this is the self-acceptance. And the I ams, our hands on our hips and our shoulders back, it helps us get there. And even saying that to yourself in the mirror every morning is a pretty powerful thing to do, especially when you repeat it every morning. And that's self-care. Prioritizing your physical, mental, and emotional needs is a solid foundation for emotional well-being. So self-care, like what does that even mean? Like some ladies give themselves no self-care. And if you're thinking that's me, that you've got your hand up, going, you're nodding your head, driving the car, listening to this, or sitting there listening to this, then ladies, it's your time to take control. And there's no better time than today. Start looking at what is it that's in your life that one, say no to give yourself a bit more free time, and look at what you can do each day in your just 20-minute walk in the morning can make a massive difference. Or at the end of day, just after dinner, going for a walk, grabbing your, if you've got a pet or a partner or a friend, or on your own, just go somewhere and get out there, breathe in some air, sitting there breathing for just 10 minutes a day, 10 minutes breathing, 10 minutes if you can meditate. If you struggle to meditate, find an app. There's a lot of apps that are for free on your phone, and you can download one. You can have one that's actually got a voice there and music there, so it's already quite structured and you just listen to it. Or you can have one that's just music and you sit there and just thinking about, what is it that you want to, who you want to be today, and what do you want to achieve today. And it could be just something that because I find it hard to not think about anything. So for me, I like the meditations that you're walking down the path and you can see a beautiful creek and you've got lovely trees. I like a voice there to give me some guidance. So these guided meditations certainly work better for me. So what is it that you're not prioritizing? And my guess, if it's you, and if you're saying I'm not prioritizing me, now's your day. And today is a chance to get up in the morning and go to bed tonight a bit earlier, get up in the morning and go for a walk and just start any change that we want to our emotional feelings of how we're feeling emotional, whether it's sad or flat or bored or tired. Any change to that is changed by motion. So motion, which is you moving around, you exercising, going to the gym, or you're walking or running or doing anything that's just motion, changes your emotion. It could be dancing. Put on a bit of Taylor Swift or Beyonce. Put something on that's going to get your grooves moving and get your foot tapping and changing your emotions. And building a support network. Surround yourself with love and positivity. How positive are the people and your closest friends? How positive are the people that you work with? How positive are your family? How positive are you? So this is, what are you doing and how are you creating a really supported network that you can feel a lot of love in as well? So join a support group, connecting with others who understand your needs. That can foster a sense of belonging and certainly a shared support as well. And embracing a life of emotional freedom and empowerment. Set intentions. I set up my intention every morning. I go for a walk. I go down, even if I'm not at home. When I'm at home, I'm able to walk down to a little riverway. It's like an estuary, and I love going to water in the mornings, and I set my intent of what I'm going to achieve today. My number one, I usually have one big goal of what I'm going to achieve, one rock that I need to get done, a task. And then the other one is how I'm going to show up today. Who am I going to be today? And at different times through my challenges, going through separation or divorce or situations that have happened with the kids or been needing to be there, through a loss of a loved one with one of my family, I've thought today I need to show up as a support network. I've got to show up as a supportive friend. I might have been on another day when I know, something was going on with one of my kids, that I'd say, today I need to show up as a role model mum, somebody that's showing an example. Another time it could be that I need to show up as a good friend and a good listener. And so who is it that you're showing up as today? And I do that every day. And maybe it's a loving partner. Maybe it's a fun, adventurous spirit that's going on a hike with your friends is going to be super fit. So you don't even have to be at that place already. It's just how you're going to show up in it. And embrace growth. View challenges as opportunities for learning and growth and fostering resilience and self-discovery. and acknowledge your progress and celebrate your accomplishments, building confidence and reinforcing positive emotions. We get motivated when we have that reward and recognition, and the recognition isn't necessarily from other people, it could be from ourselves. Here we are, you can't manage what you can't measure. If you're trying to, for example, lose a couple of kilos, look at a number on the scales, whether you're weighing yourself once a morning or once a week, and you're celebrating when you move that number the right way, and whatever that way is. And building that confidence keeps you going, it keeps you motivated, reinforcing it with positive emotions. Well done to me, and I am enough, and I am amazing. So, ladies, the first step today, book a call if you want to have a chat and start your journey to emotional freedom. You've got it all within you. You've got everything you need inside of you. It's just a matter of having someone there to support you, to strategize and help bring it out and support you on your path to full financial freedom so that you have a fulfilling life and you get out of bed and you're landing your feet on the floor and you're excited to be there for the day and you're greeting the day with a I am here. So, ladies, ciao for now. I look forward to hearing from you and have an awesome, awesome, awesome day.